yesterday, my esteemed, perhaps even revered by some colleague, Mr. Clay Travis, I thought, just talking crazy talk. He likes to throw 40 yards downfield, double coverage. He's not a shy guy. And he's saying this stuff about how he thinks Hunter Biden. Now, the Hunter Biden podcast clips that are circulating are pretty interesting. Hunter is, I don't know if he ever got a master's in chemistry, but he certainly knows a lot about freebasing and he talks about how to make your own crack, actually. So I don't even know what freebasing is. I just know it's a way you get drugs. But Hunter knows down to the molecular structure. He knows the differences in these drugs. It's impressive to hear such knowledge coming out from Hunter Biden on this stuff. And Clay said that he thinks that Hunter sees this. I just think Hunter wants attention. He's used to people caring about what he thinks because it was all one big influence peddling operation with Daddy at the top. But now that Daddy's got dementia, Hunter's got to step in and become the Biden brand, such as it is. Miranda Devine, another esteemed friend and colleague, here she is talking on her podcast, and she, believe it or not, agrees with Clay. This is crazy talk. Play one.
My question is, what is he selling? He doesn't have a book out. I think it's more than just trying to sort of rectify wrongs on behalf of his father, because Hunter Biden is really all about himself. And so I actually think that this is his audition to run for president in 2028.
Ooh.
And he's always had political ambitions. He had actually a fight with his first wife, Kathleen, that she recounts in her memoir. He recounted in his memoir. And he also talked about on the laptop. He was very angry with Kathleen because he expressed a desire to go into politics, and she scoffed at him and said, don't be ridiculous. You couldn't do that. You've just been drummed out of the Navy because of cocaine. So he felt that she didn't believe in him. But others of his friends have told me that he has a really strong political ambition. And I think he wants to capitalize on the Biden name. He's got nothing else.
Clay, this is, to me, still, my brain, this is so crazy that I think it's too crazy for Hunter Biden even, but maybe that's not a thing. I would offer this up. It is so crazy, but the Democrat Party is in such a decrepit and free fall state right now that I guess anything is possible. Is that where we are? Is that really? Now, there's a difference between he could run and win a nomination, never mind win a contest, but that he would even consider running in the state of the Democrat Party, to me, seems insane beyond words. You and Miranda, though, both think that's what he thinks he's doing.
If you have been coddled to the point where you've been told that you're a great artist and your artwork should sell for tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars a painting, if you have been told by your dad that you are the smartest man that he's ever known, if you wrote an entire book about your drug addiction that was entered into evidence to prove that you were a felon, if you documented every single thing that you did with drugs and hookers on a laptop, went to go get it fixed, and left the laptop behind, and by and large, there were never any consequences for the choices that you made, and you had been told that you were an elite intellect worthy of carrying on the Biden name, and you had come to believe it all, what would be the next thing that you would do? He's going to run for president of the United States. Now, it's the only thing that makes sense to me about why he's doing all these interviews. Joe Biden isn't doing interviews. If there were an ability for Joe Biden to do interviews, maybe he would. Tends to be the case that presidents kind of vanish for a little while and don't do much media when they leave office. That tends to be the general trend. Let the next person kind of come in. But all of this adds up to Hunter thinks he's going to run. Now, I think a lot of Democrats are going to say, no. The last thing we want to deal with is having to acknowledge the sins of the Biden administration and all of the lies that we told associated with him. Even, I think we have the audio. He went after George Clooney. He went after Nancy Pelosi. He went after the Axelrod Pluff, and also even the Pod Save America bros. And now the Pod Save America bros are returning fire at him. I actually think all this does is in some ways elevate Hunter Biden in his mind. I think we have audio of the Pod Save America bros, by the way. Let's play this because they're willing to say, oh, Hunter Biden never should have gotten any of these gigs. Totally, he was getting paid because of who his dad was, but only in the wake of this, which is what we've been telling you for years. Listen to this cut.
When it comes to the attacks on Hunter himself, like, okay, what if we just stipulate for the hypothetical, like, yes, okay, all your business dealings were above board and legal. All your paintings were purchased by art lovers who loved the product and didn't know your name. Trump is worse. You were on the board of Burisma because of who your dad is. And that is what people hate about Washington. And it was part of the problem.
One thing we know is that Hunter Biden, throughout Joe Biden's presidency, was a terrible liability for him. And put the addiction aside, it is because he was on Burisma, because he became an artist, because he was part of a kind of like sleazy Washington that, as Tommy said, people hated. You were a liability. You should be ashamed of the ways in which you made your father's political life worse. And like the idea that we're going to listen to you now, like give me a break. It's ridiculous.
Clay, they sound like they could have been on the Clay and Buck show as guests for about the 4 years of Biden's actual presidency, but now they say it. So this is what I wanted to get into. Hunter as a guy who just wants attention, for sure, yes, and that goes to the coddling. Does he really think he has a lane? I think the Biden name in Democrat circles is toxic now. I think that Biden isn't something that commands any respect. I think Biden's viewed as a liability and a loser among Democrats. Agree or disagree?
I think that's true. The question is, does that puncture Hunter's expected value of himself to such an extent that he's got the self-awareness to say, I don't have the skill set to be able to do this, or the record that would suggest I can run for president?
He would be like the former crack-using version of the guy from Succession, the oldest brother, Khan, isn't that his name? Who wants to run on like some libertarian-ish ticket, and he's very excited because in a poll he's at 1% of the vote, right?
Which is one of the all-time great lines. I'm worried this might hurt me in the polls. One of the other guys says, how do you go down from 1%? Like one of the it's not Hans, but his name is escaping me right now. Succession is an amazing dark television comedy that I loved. And yes, the oldest son kind of runs as sort of the libertarian candidate for president, and is able to get around 1%. By the way, I don't think we played this cut either. This is the Pod Save America bros. This is the left-wing establishment now saying, hey, Hunter, you're not the victim. This is different, I think, than the one we just played, right? Cut 2.
Seeing this today, I guess what I wanted, if I was in a room with him and able to talk rationally, I'd just be like, hey, man, look around the world. Look at what's happening in this country right now. Like, I know you're angry personally, but you're not the victim here. We're all living with what happened in this election. And
you got a pardon. You're fine.
It's just utter lack of self-awareness.
You know who Hunter Biden, I was watching this interview and I thought to myself, you know who he kind of reminds me of? One of the last residents of Buck Island. In fact, listen to cut 5. Hunter Biden, he might have had some beachfront real estate on Buck Island. Listen, minus the F-bombs, he could be talking like Buck Sexton. Cut 5.
I will tell you why we lost the last election. We lost the last election because we did not remain loyal to the leader of the party. That's my position. We had the advantage of incumbency. We had the advantage of an incredibly successful administration. And the Democratic Party literally melted down.
Now, I don't think that's going to help
not
property
100%
values
reflection,
on Buck Island,
but you might be kissing cousins, so to speak.
Look, I think his analysis on this one may be pretty astute, because that was what they did was insane. I don't think the Democrats could have had a worse result in this election than they did, realistically. I don't really think, given the American electorate, it was possible for them to have a much worse result.